Have you ever had a sewing project that just felt like it was meant to be? The perfect trend, the perfect pattern, and the perfect fabric all clicking in place? That's what this project was for me, but I didn't tackle it alone. I was thrilled when the very talented Izzy from Dizzy Quilts and Sews and the lovely Agata from In Agata's Cottage invited me to join them in sewing the fall 2025 skirt trends. Along with revealing my skirt, I'm going to review the make and I'm going to show you how I style it for fall in Charleston, South Carolina. So let's get into it. And what's more fun than tackling a sewing project with friends? I knew it would be a lot of fun to see how each of us would put our own spin on the same idea of sewing the skirt trends for fall. I can't wait to see their reveal videos. I'm going to link them everywhere, so please go show them some love. Now let's talk about my skirt. So to bring this vision to life, I needed the perfect pattern, and I chose the Fiore Skirt by Closet Core Patterns. This is described as a chic A-line skirt, which is exactly the silhouette that I was looking for. One of the best things about the Fiore skirt is it is very versatile and comes in 3 views. So essentially you could get 3 different skirts from the same pattern. View A is a simple flared skirt and a back zipper. View B, the one that I chose, is an asymmetrical wrap skirt that is secured by buttons at the waist. And view C is a classic button up the front skirt with these lovely curved patch pockets. The pattern is rated as a beginner-friendly pattern. I'd agree with it. The construction was very straightforward, and I love View B, the one I chose. That asymmetrical wrap and pocket, I think, really elevates this simple skirt into something really special. I've seen View B made up in crisp linens and tencel twills. Every version was beautiful. I'm glad I finally got around to making the skirt. For me, choosing View B was a no-brainer. I love the simple, crisp lines, and I knew it would be versatile. I sewed the above-the-knee length in a straight size 20. I found the instructions to be very clear. Never was I confused about what went where. I think the line drawings and figures in the instructions are really clear. Just need to pay attention. Okay, let's talk fabric. My first instinct was to sew this skirt in a linen. I even earmarked some Brussels washer linen in a gold, but as I was researching the fall trends, I really got caught up into wanting a denim skirt. Also, the Brussels washer's linen is very fluid and drapey, and I wanted to really lean into a more structured A-line skirt, so I chose to go with the denim. Denim is a classic and it just screams fall. I pulled out some stretched denim from my stash and shazam, I had the perfect fabric for the skirt. This denim has a classic indigo wash and it has some elastane in it, which gives it some bounce, which comes into play later. As with any sewing project, I started out by washing and drying my fabric so that I would get any shrinkage out of the way. Life has been super hectic here, so even though this is a very simple, quick sew, I did it over the course of 3 days. So the first day, I cut out all my paper pattern pieces and had them ready to go. On day 2, I cut out all of my fabric and I interfaced and stay stitched where instructed. When life is really busy, I like to break up my sewing projects in logical clumps or groups so that I know exactly where to pick up. So I had all my pattern pieces cut out, prepped, ready to sew. The actual sewing process was super quick. From reading the online reviews, the only thing that people ever struggled with was with the angled pocket construction. Don't let that scare you. It was very easy, and to me, I found it very clear. But to help along that way, I like to keep my pattern pieces. When I cut out the fabric, I leave them clipped to the paper pattern piece, so it's very clear and easy to see where things go together. That way, if you're not sure, you can try matching them up while they're clipped to the pattern piece, and you can see how it matches with the figures in the instruction. A bonus is that it also helps to keep the fabric stable. When you have a pattern like this where there are a lot of bias cuts, it supports them. The other thing is when I cut out the fabric, I stay stitch immediately. Everything that needs stay stitching. So nothing came out of alignment. I didn't have any stretching. It worked great. I followed all the instructions to the T. I did every bit of stay stitching and understitching that the pattern instructed me to. I did do something a little different with my facings and with the hem binding based on the fabric that I was using, and a little bit of fun that I wanted to add to the skirt. When I was researching the fall trends, the top stitching on the denim skirts was really speaking to me. I wanted to have that look. This is a very simple skirt, so I thought I could take my time with the top stitching. When I did some test stitching on this fabric, because it is a bit bouncy of a fabric, the thread was just sinking into the fabric and you couldn't see it. So I thought this was the universe telling me to not do the top stitching, and I'm glad I skipped it. I think I came with a skirt that is super versatile, and I like it just as it is. So let me show you my skirt. Since the skirt was so simple, I decided to add a little bit of fun to the inside. I used a remnant of some cotton for the facings along the front of the skirt. So on each side, it finishes really nicely with the facing. There's no raw edge. I chose to do the cotton, not just for a bit of fun, that would be reason enough to do it, but because I thought if I used the same fabric, this denim, that it would not be as neat looking closed. I thought it might be a little too bulky, and it also might be a little too bouncy. This fabric did not press as neatly as 100% cotton denim would press. I also used some Specky seamstress tape to finish off the hem. I love how this looks. You cannot see it from the right side of the fabric, and even as I was walking, it wasn't peeking out, though I wouldn't mind if it did. I know it's there, and it makes me smile every time I look at the inside of the skirt. It was a nice, neat way to finish, and it finishes at the same length as if I had turned it up the required amount and turned it again. You can see it does meet the facing where it's supposed to. A little bit of the right side of the fabric is turned under. I made sure to make that equal all the way along the skirt, so I have a really nice level hem. I used 2 buttons from Grandma Lois's button box to close my skirt. There's one on the inside of the skirt and one on the outside of the skirt. The other thing I did was I hand stitched the waistband down, and I'm pretty proud of how invisible that is. It's nice, it's neat, and I think it's a better finish than if I had done the stitch in the ditch. This really does come together quickly. I decided to go with buttonholes on both of my waistband pieces. There is an option where you could do a button loop in the front, but I like a buttonhole. I feel like I can get a more precise placement for my button with the buttonhole. I have no trouble making buttonholes. My machine loves to make them. We'll do them all day long. So I went with the buttonholes here. For the inside button that's on the right side of the front, I chose a flat button. And to find the button placements, I just put the skirt on. The right wraps around the left, and I just put it on, wrapped it around, made my mark where I thought it would fit, and boom, I was done. I sewed my buttons on. So I wore my skirt the next day, and I realized within about 2 hours of wearing the skirt, I really needed to move my buttons. It wasn't that the waistband stretched or it stretched throughout the day. I just hadn't put the buttons in the right place. I really needed to make this snug so that it wouldn't droop and fall. So I unpicked my super secure button. So I moved it 3 1/4 inches, and I just stopped picking at this because some of the white from the elastane was showing through, and I thought, I've clipped them. I'm just gonna let those little tiny threads fray away, and I moved the button over 3 1/4 inches. And I also had to move over the inside button the same corresponding 3 1/4 inches. I am honestly so happy with how the skirt turned out. The fit is great, and it is exactly the fall staple that I was hoping it would be. But before I get into the styling, I would love to hear from you. What are you sewing for fall? Have you sewn the Fiore? And do you have a favorite fall skirt? Let me know in the comments. Now for the fun part, styling. Autumns can be a little tricky here for dressing in the South. We can have cool mornings and very warm days that sometimes reach into the 80s. So layering is essential. I've put together a few styles just to show you how versatile this skirt is. Charlie, who is my usual photographer, was feeling poorly this week, and I didn't want to pester him with too many photos. So I took some myself using a tripod, and I think you'll be able to differentiate between the photos Charlie took and the ones I took styling. A few of the more outrageous ones I'm going to put at the end, and I'm going to call them outtakes. And I swear, I was not trying to make silly videos. I bet you can guess which ones Charlie took. First up, I'm leaning into the warmer fall days, and I've paired the skirt with a simple t-shirt and some Hey Dude neutral canvas shoes. This is such an easy breezy outfit, perfect for grabbing coffee or walking around downtown. It's effortless and chic. I need to experiment with layers a little more. It has been very hot here and all my layers are still up in storage. I'm going to be getting them out soon and trying out the different layers. I think something short and cropped will work well with this. I did pull out a Jara sweatshirt that was available because I recently finally finished the sleeves, and I think it looks all right with this. For my second look, I wanted to lean into a softer look, and I chose this beautiful ivory blouse. I think this really works. I like the femininity of it. The eye draws up because of the sweet tie at the neck, the lace, and the little bit of a flounce at the shoulders. I think this is perfect for when Charlie and I go out on a date for lunch or into the evening, or if I just want to feel really spectacular. I think this blouse is very me, and this whole look makes me feel like Christine. I had mentioned in my fall trends video that I didn't have many blouses because I mostly wear dresses, but I realized I mostly wore dresses also because I just don't have many blouses and tops. I don't have the time right now to sew everything that I want to sew to work with the bottoms I've been sewing, so I did go and do a little bit of shopping. So this next view is a blouse that I think will work really well with my Fiore skirt, but also with the Thea trousers I sewed and the Emerson pants, which are up soon in my sewing plans. These next two blouses I think work really well. I love the colors. I think the sleeves and the design work well with the skirt. The skirt flares out, and I feel like it gives me a great silhouette. The blouse with the deep autumnal colors really speaks to me. I feel fantastic wearing this, and I think a lot of it is due to the colors that really suit my coloring. I'm so glad I did get my colors done and started wearing the colors that make me feel great. I get a more energetic feeling when I'm wearing colors that suit me. I feel fantastic, I know it, I look it, and I act it. I picked up one more blouse, and I'm calling this my game day outfit. Now in the South, college football is everything, and I'm no exception. I am wearing this to root on my Clemson Tigers. The orange is a little bit bright for me, but I still feel great in it, and I think the sleeves really work well with the silhouette of the skirt. It really balances the skirt well. I did try on some blouses that I'm in the changing room and I was like, oh no, this doesn't work, or I hate this, or I don't like this. A couple of blouses that I tried, I liked the colors, and I was like, I'm just going to try it, see how it works with the Fiore, because I did wear the skirt to the store while I was trying on blouses, and I hated them, and I would hate them with anything I would wear. Some of them, it was just the poor construction, and some was, it was so much fabric. I didn't feel like I had any definition, and the blouse was overwhelming me. I didn't take photos of any of them in the dressing room because They just made me feel terrible, and I didn't need any recording of it. I love this skirt. I can't recommend it enough. It's going to work hard for me. I know I'm going to reach for it often this season and many more to come. And speaking of seasons, gift giving season is coming soon, and I'm prepared for that. There are going to be some new sewing tutorials for gifts that you can sew and ideas of gifts that you can sew coming soon. I'm going to link my most popular sewing gift series here to give you some ideas if you want to start sewing. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more sewing content.